Yo, what's going on, everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know who it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by My Song Day Rock 2008, coming at you with a special Friday episode. Yes, with this whole entire coronavirus, social distancing, shelter in place, all this stuff that's going on right now, everyone could use a little bit more content. Everyone could use a little bit more, joy in their lives, a little bit more new fun stuff, and we have more fun stuff for you. So before we get into what the podcast tells with the interview, let me go through the shameless plugs, because this is the section of the podcast where if I had advertising, I would definitely put it, but I don't. So you know what we're going to do? We're gonna do My Song of the Day plug. So follow My Song of the Day on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You're gonna find out anytime like the 30-second Song of the Day release happens, or the preview, I should say. You can listen to the whole entire Song of the Day selection on our Alexa skill. We'll get to that later. Anytime anything gets released, from the YouTube videos to the podcast episodes. Instagram is our biggest platform because we have a lot more on there, including our Tuesday night Instagram or IGTV videos, I should say. It's behind the scenes vlog of what's going on here, and especially during this tumultuous time, it's not a bad idea to check that out to kind of keep up in, what's going on with us. Also, we do our Instagram live streams every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. It's an hour you can come and join us. We might be increasing to 2 live streams a week, given the whole entire coronavirus thing, just to, add a little bit more to it. I know we're doing one on Thursday, April 9th, so join that one because it's a special 21st birthday for our friend Maddie. So, join us for that. Follow us on TikTok as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because that's where you can watch all these podcast episodes. And you can also find our YouTube album reviews, all the good YouTube video quality stuff that comes out every single Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central for the videos. Podcast ones always come out, you're going to find out because they're already out when you're looking at this. So, woohoo. Let's see what else is there. For the podcast, you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, watch on YouTube, and then our Amazon Alexa skill. That is where the Song of the Day feature lives for the whole entire Song of the Day feature, and that's where you can fall in love with bands you used to love. That's where you can learn about new bands. Our small band Saturday feature is absolutely huge, and this is where this podcast is going, because we feature smaller and emerging bands that are trying to make it big, are gonna make it big, and you can get in on their music early there. So the Song of the Day feature, of course, is our core feature, because that's what we're built on. We're built on building that community and helping these other emerging bands become the prominent bands, especially from, take a look at what beginning of 2020 looks like for these bands, and take a look at what happens at the end of the 2020s and 2029. Some of these bands might absolutely be ridiculously huge, and I am betting on it. So let's get into the show, because I had this band scheduled to shoot this video on Thursday, the 12th of March. But guess what happened that morning? Food poisoning. So the whole entire day I was out, and we got to reschedule because we had to reschedule. I had a day in mind, and they're like, oh no, we're playing a show that day, so that might not work. And they told me, unfortunately, show got canceled because, coronavirus. And instead of doing the show, they spent an hour and a half with me. So we featured this band on Small Band Saturday on, I believe it was February 15th of 2020. Not gonna lie, their names just stuck out to me like none other when they first sent me their stuff. Then I took a look and listened to their music. I'm like, they got that emo pop punk sound that's just yeah, this is the name and the sound just fit perfectly. So get ready, because if you love that emo pop punk sound from the early mid 2000s, or actually just the mid 2000s, like that, MySpace, Escape the Fate, Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, Blessed Fall, kind of like that realm. Yeah, you're absolutely going to love this. If you love the emo night stuff, you're going to love this band. So please join me for the rest of this podcast for a sit-down chat with Isla and Isaiah of the band Sad Kwon Do. You got to be kidding me. That's just a fantastic name. So let's get in the interview with Sad Kwon Do. Are you guys ready? Let's go! Yeah! All right, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Chord Progression Podcast, we have yet another band for you guys to enjoy a nice little, fireside chat with. They were one of our Small Band Saturday features back in February, and they are here to talk to you guys. So, everyone, please welcome two of the guys from the band Sad Kwon Do.
What's up?
What's up,
Hey,
guys? How's it hanging over there wherever you guys are in the world? Because I really don't remember.
doing pretty well. We're from Central California.
Okay. So before we get started, for everyone that's here, do you guys want to introduce yourselves and let us know who you are, what you do in the band, and just take it from there?
Sure, yeah. Unfortunately, only two of us could make it today. I'm Isla. I'm the frontwoman, singer, guitarist, rhythm guitarist.
My name is Isaiah. I play bass and I do backing vocals.
All right, perfect. So let's get started with this. I got to go all the way back to the beginning, basically, because listening to your music, I mean, I kind of got this feeling of like, like that, like early mid 2000s, like kind of like post-hardcore emo feel to your music, which for a lot of people, like I was talking with a band that I was interviewing actually the day before we shot this podcast, and we went off on this whole entire tangent about how much that music kind of meant to us. And when I first listened to your guys' stuff, when you sent it to me for Small Band Saturday, I really got that nostalgia kick that really kind of hit me hard.
Thank you. Yeah.
I don't really know like how to ever like what's it called, place a band in a genre, and especially for this band when I joined, it was something completely new to me. And so when I heard it, I was like, this is awesome. And so I was happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when we play shows and stuff, people like, you'll get the hey, great set and all that kind of small talk afterwards. But some people like have tried to place us in a bunch of different genres throughout the year or so we've been playing. And every time it's something completely different. And like we're still getting like people being like, oh, one guy said we sounded like shoegazy, and I was like, I don't see it, but thanks.
That's a first.
Oh my God, that is a first. But that's something you can kind of hang your hat on as a band as well, because it allows you and your music to really branch out into many different realms, many different areas, many different genres and subgenres. So it gives you that experimentation to really work with, and you're going to hit members of your audience and different audiences completely differently, but also with the same ferocity that you're already doing. With I'm gonna mess this up, so I got to make sure I get this right. The name of your last EP, Doused in Neon Lights and Nostalgia.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's cool to be able to be versatile and not like, I guess like pushed into only being one sound or one thing. Like we've been a bunch of our newer stuff that we haven't gotten around to recording yet, or at least releasing. It just sounds completely different, and that's like cool to me, I think.
That is as well, because it allows you, again, just to play around with this sound and really figure out exactly who you are as musicians, whether it's, if it ends up, give it 5-10 years down the line, you kind of just work yourself into like, okay, this is our sound. Or in 5 to 10 years, you're like, okay, we still have all these different pieces that we're going to try this with. We're going to try some a little bit more post-hardcore, some a little more pop punk, some a little more emo, maybe some with a more hard rock or like a punk rock kind of sound, or even, going further into the heavy style with something like metal, heavy metal, metalcore, some thrash metal. It leaves you guys with such a larger array to go into.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's go all the way back to the beginning, even before Sad Kwon Do with both of you. So, Isla, we're going to start with you. When it came to trying to, discover music, what was it like when, you're growing up and you were listening to music? What music was really the music that was hitting you as the stuff that you really liked and then really drove you into wanting to be a part of a band?
Well, honestly, when I first started playing music, I was just coming out of my rap phase. Like late middle school, like early high school, I was like hella into like rap. And then as I got into high school and like met new friends and stuff, our guitarist John was actually a big part of like kind of changing what I listened to. He introduced me to a lot of bands like Modern Baseball or like American Football, just kind of your typical like emo pop punk kind of stuff. Joyce Manor's a big one as well, which kind of was like, I guess, eye-opening to me, because it was like, whoa, there's this whole new like style of music that I've never really listened to that's like really cool and really energetic and really fun. But one thing I have to say, the reason why I started playing music in the first place, are you familiar with Filthy Frank?
Unfortunately, I am not.
Oh, okay. Well, he's this kind of like, are you familiar with Joji?
Yes.
Yeah, same guy. Before he did like pop music, he did like really edgy videos on YouTube. And the reason why I started playing any instruments at all is because he put out a song called Dog Festival Directions. which I thought was hilarious. And I decided to do a ukulele cover of it. And it's just kind of downhill from there, I suppose.
I mean, you'd be surprised with some of the stories that I've heard from people when they're talking about the moment that really got them into music or got them playing, like the instrument that they're playing, or really kind of got them in the direction that they're going. And every single time, I'm always astounded to hear exactly how that happened. And trust me, I was like, yours did not fail. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, I suppose it's different for everybody. Like, actually, I'm curious to hear Isaiah's because I don't think I have.
All right, let's go, Isaiah. I got to hear this one now.
All right. So I got started with music pretty young. I say my first instrument officially was drums. So about when I was like 3 or 4, that's when I got my first drum set. Wasn't good, would just kind of bang on it a little bit. But that was like my first taste of music. Growing up, I was always listening to what my dad had on, which is usually like 80s metal, 80s rock. And then to what my mom listens to, which was a lot of 90s pop, stuff like that. So,
oh my God, you and I are in the exact same boat with that. That was the exact same thing with me, except for your mom doing 90s pop. My mom was doing more like 70s and 80s pop, but I totally feel that as well. So keep going.
Yeah, so that was kind of, like I said, music was always on in my house. Growing up, I always leaned more towards, obviously, my dad's music because I was always around my dad. But there came around the time I was about 6 or 7. My dad wanted me to try guitar, so I got my first guitar. Kind of played it, did lessons, wasn't really into it, so I went back to drums, which, well, I started out on Sad Kwon Do and drums, but we'll get to that in a minute. So listened to a lot of rock music, got into heavier stuff as I, expanded out, finding out what else was out there. And then when I met Isla and John, that's when I started getting more into this emo side of music, I
think it's interesting to point out, like, I didn't even know this. Like, I didn't know your musical history all too well, but like, you've been playing like instruments your whole life. Oh, I only started like my sophomore year of high school, which is like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
or 3 years ago.
Yeah, my dad always had a guitar in the house. Like the majority of my guitars I have now are my dad's guitars.
Oh, then you're kind of basically playing those legacy guitars up on stage, like family-oriented guitars, even.
Yeah, like the bass I first played with, that was my dad's bass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I've been playing with, I still play with it. It's a 5-string Ibanez. I love that thing. That thing sounds amazing.
You got to make sure you take care of that thing too, especially because if something happens to it, not only will you be mad, your dad might be just as mad as you are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that thing holds a lot of memories for me.
You gonna tell him about the Gibson?
Oh, geez.
Okay, tell me about this Gibson, man.
I mean, it's a Gibson Les Paul that he has. It's really, really nice. But just we were trying to record an intro track for the LP that we're working on right now, and for some reason it was getting like some pretty bad buzz. It's nothing crazy. It was just some grounding issues that it has with it, and it was very apparent with her amp because she has a tube amp, and I've always been running a Line 6 for guitar, which recently I got a new amp, but that's a whole different story.
I mean, that's interesting as all hell, especially hearing both of your stories, both from you, and both from you, Isaac, just because when you take those stories and really listen to them, it's all incredible to see where both of you came from. One from kind of more of like that, like with you, Islo, from a rap background, all of a sudden jumping into more of that pop punk style, emo style band, and all of a sudden then from you, Isaac, going with something more of that like 70s and 80s hard rock that your dad really enjoyed, that you really listened to. And I gotta ask this now. How do both of you with different backgrounds going into music come together and then end up being a part of this band together?
I suppose I should start from the beginning. So originally, Sad Kwon Do was just myself, our guitarist John, and our old bassist Alex, just in the back of our high school like guitar class, just playing music, doing whatever the assignments our teacher gave us. And one time, like towards the end of the school year, we're in the intermediate class. He was like, "Okay, you've learned enough songs. It's time for you to write one." So we're like, "Oh, okay, that's new." So we just started kind of writing music right then and there. Chronology wise, we played a few sets with that lineup. Our current drummer Jonah filled in to like play drums. He wasn't like a permanent addition yet. We played a few shows with that lineup. Then unfortunately things didn't work out with Alex as a bassist, so we kind of transitioned into a 3-piece, bringing in Isaiah to be the drummer. I played bass and switched to guitar. It was kind of weird. It was just like assembling whoever we could to fill specific roles. And then eventually we came along to our current drummer Jonah on the drums, Isaiah playing bass, myself playing rhythm guitar, and then our friend John playing lead.
You should tell them why I got switched to bass though.
Oh yeah, that's a fun story. Why don't you do it?
Okay. So like she said, I was originally on drums. I liked it. I didn't want to switch. I was fine. And then back up a little bit. So over the summer of 2019, 2019, I was going to this trampoline park with some other friends. That was kind of like what we did. We had passes. We went all the time. The last time I went was the day after the 4th of July of 2019. I hyperextended my knee really bad. I tore talar tendon, ACL, meniscus. I had a disorganization of something in my knee, my right knee. So I couldn't play drums. So I was out for a little bit. I got my brace, was just chilling for a little bit. And I said, you know what? I'll try to go back to drums. And I was doing it, but it was really painful. And so we decided, you know what? Why don't you play bass? Because I could still kind of stand. I just couldn't put too much weight on it. And so that's kind of how I got started on bass. And I've just been there ever since.
All right, not gonna lie, that is definitely one of the more interesting stories I've heard when it comes to how you currently are in the position that you are in with the band and what instrument you play as well. But I gotta ask, like, what leg was it on? Because when I was a kid, I was playing drums a good amount. I believe when I was like between like the ages of like 10 and 14. So I kind of always am intrigued by like a drumming, like what your drumming style was like, and also, you know, depending upon what leg you completely tore up, like how that's going to affect your playing as well, and how that affected your playing enough to where you switched over to bass.
Oh, okay. Well, as far as like my style, like you were saying, like I said, growing up, I listened to a lot of rock, like heavier music. So I guess you could say my style leans more towards the metal side of stylings, but I learned to adapt to this emo pop punk music, which I happen to really love now. So when I switched over to drums for Sad Kwon Do, it kind of was an easy transition. And then obviously when we got Jonah, he ended up being a better drummer than I am. So
I mean, I wouldn't say better, just maybe better suited for the genre.
I guess, yeah.
I don't know. It's like two different styles, and we just kind of started. John and I were like, kind of really like Jonah's style. Like it's, you know, just being objective about it. It was a lot more energetic, and I think it brought like more energy, I guess, just to everything.
So like kind of brought more of that like energy that you would expect from a pop punk song or an emo song to the band. Whereas if Isaac was drumming, then you'd be getting something more of a more of like a heavier style drumming, kind of more that driving force kind of energy.
That's a good way to put it.
Well, a good example is on the EP, because on the EP, that's when I was playing drums. So everything you hear on the EP was me.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah.
We're actually, for our LP that we're currently recording, we're actually re-recording the original EP because, to be perfectly honest, we weren't like super great musicians at the time. And since then we've gotten like newer equipment, and we've just gotten better. So everything we've re-recorded so far just sounds like 10 times better. And I think it'll be interesting because Jonah was the one that's drumming for the new renditions of those songs. So it'll be cool to like have that direct comparison, you know?
Yeah, and then even your fans who can hear and just see the different styles of drumming and how they play off, and just also see the fact that it's like, it might be, oh, this might be better suited, or I may be like this the other style. Who knows? You're going to end up getting feedback from it one way or another. But it seems like with the lineup that the band has now, it seems like a lineup that you as a band are pretty much set in stone on, as this is what we want to have the lineup on, and we're just going to take it from there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we're really comfortable with what we have right now. We're really happy with how we're sounding, how we're playing, and all the fans seem to be happy with it too.
So we'll jump into the EP with Douse and Neon Lights and Nostalgia. So when you decided to make the EP, what were some of the influences that you really took on when it came to writing your songs? And then what was it like to actually produce this EP? Because I've heard some stories of producing songs and EPs and getting them recorded where they just went super smooth. But I've also heard ones where, I mean, smooth is the antithesis of how it went. So I'm interested to see how that all happened for Sad Kwon Do.
Well, as far as the inspirations kind of went, I was listening to a lot of modern baseball, specifically like their Holy Ghost album. And I just loved that sound. And I don't know, I wouldn't say I tried to replicate it intentionally or anything, or even like, I don't think I did replicate it all, writing the songs that we have on the EP. For clarification, I wrote all of the music that we have released as of now. And yeah, I don't know, it was just kind of like a melting pot of like just a bunch of different bands. And then as for recording goes, honestly, it went like, all things considered, really smoothly. Isaiah, thankfully, has a wonderful home studio with pretty much everything we needed. And like, he was just like, we were like, hey, maybe we should like maybe think about recording. And Isaiah was like, oh yeah, I have a home studio, lol.
Yeah, that's how that went.
I was like, oh shit, okay, we're good. You want to talk about the recording process?
Yeah, like you said, it went pretty smoothly. There were some kind of things I was like, like, like kind of a little bit of obstacles, but they're pretty easy to overcome, I would say. We re-recorded a lot during that EP just because as we were playing shows, we were recording the EP and we just got better and better. So we were like, okay, at one point we were just like, when is it okay enough to be finished? And so we kind of just put like a set in stone recording for all 5 songs. And we said, okay, that's good. Let's release it.
One thing that I never really experienced before this was, I guess, never being fully happy with like something I produced artistically. Like, I don't know, especially with music, it always feels like there's something more you can add, or there's something you can play the exact same riff in like just a slightly different way. Like, I don't know, there's so much stuff you could do, but you have to pick a point and be like, yeah, this is fine. And it definitely took us a while to get to that point, but I'm glad we did.
I mean, I can definitely understand that when it comes to that artistic style where you're constantly trying to improve on it as well. And even when you say it's finished, you kind of go back to, it's like, oh, I wish I would have put something in there and there, because one of the bands I recently talked with, their name was Bone Steel from Hollywood. They were talking about when they did their first EP, and every single time the lead singer was listening to it, he's like, okay, I got to go back and re-record this and this and this, and did it like 6 or 7 times, just due to the fact that he wanted to make sure that it was perfect. And it looks like, looks like you were the same way.
Yeah, no, I feel bad. I always like I feel like I'm annoying him whenever especially when we do vocals, because I'm never feeling like perfectly satisfied with my vocal performance. So like we'll redo it, like we'll get like 3 or 4 takes in, and it's just, Isaiah's like, dude, this sounds fine, it's perfect, it's like good enough. And I'm like, no, it's wrong, it's horrible.
It's funny because there was a point where like it was all done, it was all ready to go, I was ready to get it sent off to a friend of mine to get mastered, and then I get a text from her saying, hey, can we redo vocals for all the songs? I'm like, yeah, I guess, but it worked out for the best. It sounds great in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, yeah.
Yeah, and now I got to ask Isaiah, and I'm sorry if I butchered your name earlier and called you Isaac beforehand. I'm sorry about that, but I have to ask you about this home recording studio that you have. How did that come into fruition? So,
in high school, I was really into like watching drum covers, and one of my favorite drummers was Cobus Potgeeter, I think his name is. But he's a really good drummer, does a lot of drum covers, and I wanted to be able to do that. Like, I told myself I wanted to be a YouTube drummer. So it started off with, at least getting new drums. I wanted new drums because the old ones I had were pretty bad. But so I got new drums. I'm like, okay, that's good. I already had a computer I think I got it for Christmas back in 2011. And I was like, okay, what do I need? So I got an interface, which I think it was the Behringer UMC 404 I had, but I got an interface and I got some microphones. And so that's kind of how it started. But at this point, I didn't have a studio yet. It was just like some things here and there. And then fast forward a little bit, it was my senior year of high school. We moved into the house I currently live in now. And so from there, I kind of got my own room in our backyard. It's like this little like warehouse, or not warehouse, this little shed looking thing that I kind of live in.
It's a man cave.
Yeah, it's pretty much a man cave. But basically, like you walk in, there's my bed, and there's my little kitchen area, and then there's this room that you walk into that's the home studio. And so ever since then, I've been building it. I have foam in there, like acoustic foam. I have really good microphones. I have a couple good monitors, really good preamps, stuff like that. I've just been pretty much building an arsenal of gear over the years.
That's absolutely incredible, especially given the investment that it takes to build a home studio as well. But like you were saying, when you're trying to do the YouTube drum covers and try and piece this all together, it seems like you've acquired a lot of the pieces that a home studio will require over the course of a couple of years, so that by the time you guys were ready to record this EP, it was the perfect situation because you didn't need to go anywhere for studio time and purchase it. You guys already had something that was ready to roll as a band.
Pretty much, yeah. I feel like a good analogy for any guitar players that are listening, it's like when you get your first pedal board, you're like, okay, these two pedals and this amp are fine. And then like 2 years later, you have like 6,000 pedals laying around in your house. It just kind of comes with time.
Oh, very much so. Even some of the stuff that I've acquired for doing this stuff. I mean, I'm on my second mixer right now because the other one I had, it's like, yeah, that one's good. If you're doing things live, I'm like, well, that's not what I'm doing. So I got something different. Got a couple of different mics, different cameras, and I've got all of this old technology now, basically, as I'm calling it, just laying around my apartment, laying around my parents' house as well, because sometimes I'll take stuff over there and be like, hey, just hold on to this for me for a while. I have no room.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, okay, so at my house, we have like this little, we call it a secret room because it's like a bookcase that you push open, but it's a storage room. I have a lot, not even just like recording gear. I have a lot of drum stuff, guitar stuff, and bass stuff back there that my parents just let me keep over there. So I'm thankful for that, but I'm pretty sure a lot of it I need to get rid of because I don't even use it anymore.
This closet behind us is like 90% filled with just my old amps and guitars and stuff that I don't touch anymore. It's like I probably should just sell it at this point.
You have like guitars just laying around in
my whole house. It was clean, and then I started playing guitar.
Those guitars everywhere.
I mean, that's never a bad thing to have, but then you're gonna get to a point where all of a sudden you're just gonna look at all those guitars and think, I mean, I'm probably gonna have to sell some of these at some point just because you're just gonna keep getting more guitars and more guitars and more guitars.
Oh yeah, it gets bad.
But then again, if you ever want to go all, basically treat yourself like the Who and just start smashing your guitars on stage, just take out an old one, have some fun with it.
Do that with the bitch guitar.
No. It's like I have a guitar. It's a Dean Vendetta. It's kind of crappy, but I put a sticker. It's like a Supreme sticker knockoff, but instead of Supreme, it just says bitch.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and I rocked that for a while. But I don't know, it feels kind of weird. Like I don't know if I'd ever want to smash anything that I like own because I get a big sentimental value, like attachment to my instruments.
Smash the Squire that I have.
I mean, it's your guitar.
I said I'm okay with it.
Oh, I might do that.
Ooh, looks like we have something. And then you're going to start smashing the drum, something on the drum kit too, because even when I was a kid, the kit that I had, I end up smashing the top cymbal and the hi-hat so much I actually inverted the cymbal.
Oh my god.
I've done that before.
Jonah does that all the time.
Jonah hits hard.
Yeah, dude, he slams those drums.
Yeah, I thought I played hard. Jonah plays way hard.
Our practice space is like this one-car garage in John's backyard. And, it's a one-car garage. It's pretty small. And whenever he plays drums, it's like it's a manageable volume. You probably should wear ear protection, but you'll be fine without it. But whenever Jonah plays drums, oh my God, no. If I don't have ear protection, I'm like standing on the other side of the garage, like doing my best to cover my ears because he just slams everything.
Sounds like me when I was a kid. That's all I would do. It's anytime I was playing with because I was in like middle school for that. It's like, oh, like little middle school jazz band. There, I was like, yeah, you're gonna have to calm down the drumming because you're just overpowering everyone. And I'm just looking like I can't stop. Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm drumming. It's supposed to sound like this.
I was exactly the same way in high school jazz band. I was always playing too loud, always, and my teacher would literally throw pencils at me, telling me to slow down or shut up.
Yeah,
it was good times though. It was good times.
Yeah, my middle school teacher was always was always doing it more calmly, and I always would tell him like, "Well, can we play something harder?" It's like, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "Yeah, we got something more rock based that you're gonna like." I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" He's like, "Yeah, it's I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles." I looked at him like, I like the effort, but we gotta go a lot harder than this, man.
You gotta get those death pits, man, at the circle death pits at the middle school band concert.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, I would have been all in them. I mean, now it's been I'm trying to think how many years since I've been in middle school, like 13, 14. I don't even know anymore. It's been a long time, but I mean, hell, I would have been in the pits then if we could have created them for, middle school jazz band. I'm 25, I'd be in them now just because, well, why not? It's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I guess so. Then I got to ask, with Jonah's drumming, with it being so much harder, do you think you are going to have any trouble when it comes to creating this new LP that you guys spoke about earlier, with that harder sound and that just louder sound that he works with? Do you think you're going to have trouble really recording that and tracking that?
We're actually done like 90% of the drum tracking so far, and all things considered, it went really smoothly.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Just lower the gain a little bit.
That's one thing I noticed when we used Jonah for recording instead of me, is that Jonah gets him first try. He gets the takes first try. Well, besides the one song, but yeah, he pretty much gets it first try. It took me a couple of tries when we recorded the EP.
He's a very talented improv drummer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it has to be incredibly useful for a live show.
Oh yeah. Just live shows, or even just jamming in general. Like we'll show him a song, and then not even 5 minutes later, he has it down, and it's like, whoa, I respect that, because I can't do that.
Complete opposite of me when I was on drums.
Oh my gosh, I have videos of some of our earlier shows, and it's like we had jammed a lot. It's just we weren't tight at all yet, so
I didn't know the songs yet. I was kind of winging it for a few months.
Yeah.
All right, then, if you were winging it for the first month for those live shows, then how did those live shows go in the beginning? We just jamming with it, and then just trying to get over the nerves of maybe playing your first couple live shows, and especially the Isaiah just kind of winging it on the drums.
I mean, they weren't terrible, but they weren't good.
We definitely weren't anyone's favorites yet. I felt like people were just being nice. They're like, hey, good job,
Yeah.
I felt like that's how it was. But then once we started getting, more tight with it and pretty much just better musicians all around, that's when it got way better. And that's when people started, turning their heads and looking at us,
We played a house show in my backyard one Halloween. And
respect the house.
It went pretty smoothly, but we opened up for my other friend's band called Whale Sports, and after our set, they started playing, and in between one of their songs, my neighbor in his backyard just shouted out, "I like this band better." I was like, "Oh, okay, buddy."
Our dude, I remember that. Yeah. That day was fun though.
It was fun. Somebody kicked in my fence, and then we fixed it the same night.
Respect the house.
Respect the spot.
Okay, that sounds like one of the more insane shows that I think I've ever heard, especially from an earlier setting, especially when your neighbor just screams out, "I like this band better," when it's your band and another band. And that's just something you're going to end up having to hang your hats on as you go later on in your music career. Just like a point in time where you're always going to look back at that and just kind of laugh and smile at it.
I found some videos of us playing a show a year ago. And it was like, wow, we sound nothing like this. They're the same songs, but it's night and day, honestly.
Well, that's what's going to happen too as time goes on, because you're going to get more comfortable with each other as musicians, not only recording and jamming, but just playing live shows. You're going to get that comfort, and it's really going to start to come out and just show that chemistry between all members of the band. And when you're talking about earlier where it's, you're playing those live shows early on and you're just saying that you were no one's favorite, that happens to every single band that's ever played, because everyone's got to start somewhere. Everyone's got to start at ground zero. No one starts at all of a sudden, Metallica's level where they are right now. No one starts at that.
I totally, well, because it was weird, because when I was in other bands, my initial thought, because Sad Kwon Do is like the first band I was in where we were playing originals. Every other band I was ever in was like doing covers. And so I didn't know much about how fame was, which I don't even consider Sad Kwon Do famous yet. But as far as like playing shows, we were just doing covers, so we never were like getting people like turning their heads at us. And so I think achieving, at least getting to this level that we are with Sad Kwon Do, this is basically like a dream come true for me. I'm pretty sure I can speak for all of us too.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is my first band ever. Like I haven't really been in any other groups or anything. I mean, I never thought we'd make it this far, to be perfectly honest. Like as far as we have now. There's a venue in a city near where we live called the Strummers. It's nothing like big. It's a really small like bar type venue, but they have this really nice stage and like actual sound guy and sound equipment and everything. And like for the first like year, we were like, damn, we'll like never play Strummers. We'll never get that big. And then only like a few months later, we played a show in Fresno, which is the town Strummers is in. And one of the dudes there was like, hey, you guys sound great. Do you want to play Strummers? And we were like, whoa. that happened real quick.
And then we played Strummers twice.
Yeah, twice in like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. The first night was for you and I, right? Or was that the other?
No, actually, it was Trail of Dead, I want to say.
Yeah, the first night we played Strummers we opened for a band called Trail of Dead. And it was a pretty decent turnout. I think for us, we had a good 20 people show up, which was pretty decent for us, I would say. And, that was cool. We got some merch, got a few more fans. And then we played Emo Night the next week, which it was sold out.
Yes.
Yeah, it was just sold out. Mind you, it wasn't for us, but, it was for like the DJs and everything. But it was really cool being able to open to like a full house like that and, play for a crowd that was legitimately like interested in our music and invested in it. Like there were some people there that like knew our lyrics, and I was like, whoa, that's a first. That's never happened. That's really cool.
It was a great feeling seeing that.
Yeah. Nope, that train of thought's gone.
Hey, it makes sense. I'll pick up on that just because a couple of things for that, and it's going to all revolve around that second show for Emo Night, because I know Emo Night's becoming a huge thing. We just had it here in Milwaukee. I think it was right at the beginning of February. So Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to that, but we've been having stuff like that around here. Emo Night came around. We've had this thing for the past like year and a half, maybe almost 2 years, I want to say, called Small Band, or no, it's Sad Boy Saturday. So they play a lot of that emo pop punk stuff. And so we've been having something like that for a while. So it's always kind of cool to go to that just because you're able to get a lot of people out and into a room and just enjoy the music that they love. And you can kind of really get a feel for that demographic. And the fact that you guys were able to open at Emo Night and not only be able to perform your music in front of people a lot of people that really like that style of music, but then to just see people singing your lyrics along with you. I've heard bands talk about the first time they saw that as well, and just the amount of energy and just this incredible feeling that just washed right over them because you never expected that. And then all of a sudden, boom, people know your music, they're coming to your shows, and they're singing along with you.
A big part of it for me is like, I don't know, music has been not only an inspiration to me, like to play music, but also like, bad times during my life. Music's always like there to be like comforting and just kind of, I guess, help me through it personally. And I don't know, my goal in life, I suppose, is to be able to be that to somebody else. And seeing people like sing the lyrics along with me was like, well, I think I've actually like touched these people in some meaningful way, and that's kind of why I'm doing this, you know. Not to get too sappy.
Oh, no, don't worry about getting too sappy, because I've gone through times in life, well, right before I even started all of this whole entire My Song of the Day stuff, where, I mean, it was like the worst time of my life. I no doubt about it. Just hated everything about my life. And the one thing that kept me going, or one of the things that kept me going for the majority of it, was music. Listening to bands like Rise Against, listening to bands like, well, older 30 Seconds to Mars, listening even like Skillet as well, and then jumping into some of the older stuff I listened to, like Hollywood Undead, 3 Days Grace, and then just kind of seeing where it led. It kept me going, and it kept me thinking that life's going to get better at some point. And if you're able to create music for Sad Kwon Do, that, you know, someone, it might be in that situation, they listen to your music and are able to get that inspiration and know that life is going to get better if they're going through a hard time, and then just has that be the driving force behind them to keep going. I mean, you made your stamp on the world and on that person more so than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, that's what I hope to be at some point.
Well, I mean, you definitely have the sound, especially off of the Douse and Neon Lights and Nostalgia, to get to that, especially on the song Dress for Less, because I think on Spotify, that was probably your most popular song at this moment. And I believe that was the one that we featured for Small Band Saturday as well. So that was one that, because I remember when I listened to it, that I kind of got that feeling a little bit that this would be a song that I would have ended up picking up and listening to during that time. So that's the reason why I wanted to push it out there, so that more people would hear it.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that song is definitely the attention grabber for a lot of people. Like, I think when we played, when we first played in Fresno at Mason, we obviously were the opening band. We were playing, people were kind of listening, and then we started playing Dress for Less, and everyone like focused. And like, it was just such a weird thing to see, because like people were eating, just kind of listening, you know, clapping when we finished a song, and then when Dress for Less, everyone was like, "What?" Like, no, it was really cool. Yeah,
like this band's like, you know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but like this band's pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, you can toot your own horn, especially when something like that happens, where you're getting heads to turn on, like, towards your music. Like, all of a sudden, wait, whoa, I got to listen to more of this. It's just, you definitely have something there when that happens, and you can, and it's something that's, you know, that people just don't say. It's like you can physically see it happen.
Yeah, it was surreal.
Okay, so now I got to ask, again, going back to the EP as well, but now we're going to, instead of going through like the production of it, I got to ask, when you released the EP, what was the initial reception like, especially with, like, you know, like you said, Dress for Less being the attention grabber of the album, or the EP, I should say?
When we released it, we were nowhere near like as, I guess, big as we are now. Pretty much at that point, we were still mostly playing to like our friends and like family and friends of friends. But everybody that had heard it and like bought a CD or listened to it on Spotify or whatever was like, whoa, these guys like actually like sound like a real band. You know, it was definitely cool, like kind of seeing, I guess, like my friends and family kind of realize that like, no, this isn't really something we're just doing like for fun. This is like something we like are taking very seriously, and we really want to do it. And I guess I kind of got that same feeling when we were featured on a local radio station this previous Sunday. And it was like that same realization again, where it was like, especially like for my family and my girlfriend's family, they were like, long story short, they were like, kind of didn't really take this whole band thing super seriously. But like, once they heard that we were getting like actual radio play, they were like, oh, you guys are like actually doing this. It's like, yeah.
Oh, you guys are good.
I think a lot of our growth can be attributed to actually having those songs out for people to listen to outside of our shows and everything. It definitely helped out tremendously, just with getting the name out there and actually having people listen to us and be like, decide if they like us or not before coming to one of the shows or whatever.
Well, I'm not going to lie, when you sent me the stuff or the request for Small Band Saturday to really be featured on it, the first thing that stood out to me was the name Sad Kwon Do, just because I don't know why, it hits you right in the face. It's with just some kind of relevancy, and just, I don't know how to describe it, but it's real noticeable, and it's real catchy as a name. So it's just, you really want to just latch onto it and really listen to the music.
We were really close to naming the band Moisturizer Bottle.
I was not aware of.
Really?
I was not aware of that.
I talk about this all the time. So when John and I were trying to figure out a name for it, we're both really big fans of Regular Show on Cartoon Network.
Okay.
So we were just kind of going through episode names and like locations in the show, trying to find something like that would fit. And then eventually we narrowed it down to Death Kwon Do and like a few others Articulate Radio was another one. And John and I were like, well, Death Kwon Do is really cool, but like we don't play like death music. You know, I wouldn't say we're anywhere near hard enough to earn a name like that. I was like, what if we just like call it Sad Kwon Do? And John was like, yep, that's it.
It's kind of like your Motley Crue moment. I mean, if you watch The Dirt at all, just because like the moment when Mick Mars flips up the page and it says Motley Crue on it, and then Nikki Sixx quickly just changes the crew from CREW to CRUE. It's like that's the moment that you two had when you're coming up with that name, and all of a sudden Sad Kwon Do is just boom, we have it. This is it. And you definitely picked the correct name. Oh my God, you picked the correct name for this one.
I definitely think it fits the sound.
I mean, it's perfect. If I'm not gonna lie, if this was 14 years in the past, back in like 2006 when the MySpace emo era, like with when Escape the Fate really kind of took that in. All of a sudden you get bands like Mayday Parade, you get Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco really kind of popping off. It's a name like Sad Kwon Do would have been perfect for that. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is just because it's like one of those names that just stands out like none other.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, it definitely depends on what you listen to, but I think it's a name where you're either like, wow, that's really good, or you're like, wow, that's horrible. That is the worst name I've ever heard. I don't know. I like it. I think it totally fits everything.
Definitely better than Moisturizer Bottle.
Yeah, that would be better.
Definitely better. Now, going back to just what happened this past Sunday with the song that you got featured on the radio, I have to ask this question, and it was, how did that go about getting featured on the radio? Was it something where you just sent in your music to the radio station and they liked it enough to play it, or was it enough people requested it that they basically had to play it so people could listen to it, or how did that all work out?
It was actually kind of a coincidence. The first show we played at Strummers with Trail of Dead, this guy named Matt was in attendance, and he heard us and was like, whoa, these guys sound good. And he came up to us after the show and he's like, hey, I'm Matt. I'm from KFCF 88.1 or whatever the frequency is. And he's like, would you guys want to come on the radio for like an interview and like I could play some of your music? And we were like, yeah. What the hell? That's awesome. And we just set a date and just, I don't know, just kind of went from there. It was surreal, but it was amazing. It was very fun, very synonyms for fun. Yeah.
Synonyms for fun.
I mean, synonyms for fun include super duper fun, awesome fun. I mean, fun. Or you could just start singing like F is for friends who do stuff together.
There you go.
Just go all SpongeBob on it. But one thing I want to mention with that is especially just hearing other bands talk about their success and how, the growth of their bands as well, kind of comparing it to that, where it's, you can't just, just put out music and just hope for the best. It's, you have to find a way to get your music out more to the masses. And when you're playing those live shows at the venue that you really wanted to play at out in Fresno, and all of a sudden, people are in attendance that have more prominence maybe within the local scene as well, especially with Matt that you just mentioned, it's a way to get your music out there and just to increase your grasp on an audience, whether it just be, online or all of a sudden, or right now, especially in your area, which seems like where you're really focused on is that area in Central California.
Yeah. Big part of that, like we actually got booked for a show in Stockton, but unfortunately due to, coronavirus and all that going around, pretty much all of our shows, all of them have been canceled.
We lost 5 shows?
More than that. We had 7 shows on the calendar for March and April.
Ooh.
And they're all gone now. So that kind of hurts.
Yeah, we were actually supposed to play a show today.
Yeah.
But,
with everything going around, it wouldn't be reasonable to play shows. So we're like, okay, time to pull out.
Yeah, I mean, you're not. Sad Kwon Do isn't the only band that's being affected by not being, or like, having live shows get canceled. Every single band is having live shows postponed or canceled. I mean, I've had, trying to think how many shows I've had canceled or postponed on me right now. I think it's up to 4 right now that I'm supposed to go to that have either been canceled or postponed. I'm just sitting there like, dang it. More of these are getting postponed.
It was sad looking at Instagram just like for the last week, just seeing like every day, like 2 or 3 more bands that I wanted to go to their shows, just canceling tours and stuff. And it's like, I get it. It's definitely the right call. It just sucks.
Yeah, it's something where we're going to express our disappointment, but we're not expressing our disappointment because the band's canceling. We do understand it. It's the reason we're expressing our disappointment is because we really want to see these shows now. Now that we're going to have to really wait even longer to see these shows, or we're not going to be able to see them at all. And we're just disappointed in the fact that the situation has put, the whole entire music industry in at this point.
Oh, yeah, no, the whole industry is just stopped right now, pretty much. I mean, I suppose that goes for other industries as well. But.
Oh, especially sports. Sports are all canceled, I think, for the rest of the season, right?
From what I've heard, it's trying to think. Well, the XFL is canceled, I know for sure. NBA is on that trajectory along with the NHL. And then MLB, I mean, well, their start of their season was supposed to start happening at the end of this month, like actually a week from the shooting of this episode. And maybe, about a week from the shooting of this episode. So it was set and ready to go, but I know they're just trying to postpone it, or maybe are going to just slash games off the schedule as well, because they're going to be able to get hopefully more than half in. But it's, music industry is taking a huge hit because no one's being able to play live shows. Sports is taking one of the biggest hits because they can't put their product out there, a new product out there. It's, you can still watch all these old games, but you're not getting anything new. And then even, jumping on the service industry as well, because all these bars and restaurants are being closed down in the name of public safety. So people don't congregate there and pass the virus along to people. It's just, it's like living in a Twilight Zone episode right now.
Really?
It's exactly like that.
Society is just like, said, okay, bye. My girlfriend works at a Five Guys up in Sacramento, and they're in an area that's pretty well affected by it. So they're on a kind of unofficial shelter in place order. They're only doing like takeout orders and everything now, and like Uber Eats, DoorDash, that type of stuff.
We have the same thing going on here right now, where that all went into effect on the night between the 16th and the 17th of March. Yeah,
Fresno actually, we're in Hanford, which is like just a few minutes, or like 45 minutes south of Fresno. And so far, there haven't been any confirmed cases or anything like that around us, thankfully. But Fresno, the entire city just got a shelter in place order as of like last night. So
at midnight, actually.
Yeah, it's just like, it's scary, honestly.
So what exactly does shelter in place mean? Because I haven't really looked that much into it, because we haven't had any of that order around where I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
It's pretty much like a lockdown, like for a school. Everyone has to stay inside until, everything gets clear. That's pretty much what it is. For Fresno, like I said, everyone has to stay inside, but they can only leave to go to work and back, or I think even maybe the store and back. But other than that, if they leave, I think they can get arrested.
Actually, that depends on where you're at. In the Bay Area right now, it's a legal order. So basically anywhere in the Bay Area of California, if you're outside of your house without a valid, like what they consider a valid reason, you can actually get charged with a misdemeanor, which is wild. I get why it has to be a thing, but it's just crazy to think about. In Fresno, I think it's just a suggestion more than a legal order. But it's still like, you can leave your house to go like on a walk or like a hike or whatever, but you can't really go anywhere other than like the store and work.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're dealing with here with everything else closed. The only reason I've gone out the past couple of days was went to the grocery store today. I went by my parents' house today because for me to do my full-time job, I need much better upload capabilities than I have at my apartment here. So I have to go by my parents' house to work there. So otherwise it's like I've gone to a couple stores, but it's basically to, buy food basically. So kind of just taking that into effect as well. So it's definitely something where we're feeling, but in Sacramento where your girlfriend is, Isla, do they have the shelter in place order there where it's a legal requirement, much like it is in the Bay Area with San Francisco and Oakland?
I think they're pushing for a legal requirement right now, but it's as of now, I think it's more just like a suggestion. But I mean, as far as she's told me, everything's pretty much deserted. So it seems to be pretty effective, thankfully.
Yeah, thankfully, because I mean, except we have to talk with a couple of bands that are over in Europe right now just to see how everything's going over there, and it's just, and other people in Europe too. It's just like they've been on lockdown for a couple of weeks now.
Oh yeah, like we just started it. Like it's gonna be at least a few weeks, probably longer until kind of life resumes. I'm just hoping that like the momentum that Sad Kwon Do has had doesn't like die out. We lost a lot of shows, and now nobody's booking shows yet now because it's why book a show when it could get canceled? Like why book a show for May when it still could be going on? It still could get canceled.
Exactly. So the question I have for Sad, you Iceland, you Isaiah, and well, the other two members of Sad Kwon Do, even though they're not here. What are your plans currently to make sure that you maintain that momentum now, even though you can't play live shows? Like, what are you doing to really make sure that that momentum for Sad Kwon Do and the growth of the band continues on?
Well, I wouldn't say we have a definite plan in place, but things that I do want to try is definitely we're going to take this time to write new music and record because, we still can do that, thankfully. And while we can't play in front of people physically, we don't have anything like planned definite yet, but at some point I would like to try to maybe live stream a show on like Twitch TV or something like that so people can tune in. Yeah, I don't know how many people would be interested in something like that, but I think it'd be cool to set up with some few other local bands and just kind of like play to the internet. I think that'd be a cool way to play to people during this mess.
That's something I would definitely do because there was a band that was the first band I ever interviewed on the podcast called Ascending from Ashes. They used to always do a live stream to basically just do a live stream concert every single Wednesday night, a weekly thing. And they stopped right before the end of 2019 because they were beginning to write and produce new music with some of their producers as well. So really trying to get behind that. So they just take more time on that. And especially you're seeing more bands do that now or I'm even saying larger bands are doing that now because Code Orange did that with the release of their new album on March 13th because they were going to play a whole show where it was just that new album. They couldn't do it. So they live streamed it. Dropkick Murphys played a whole entire 2-hour live stream show on St. Patrick's Day because that's what they're supposed to do. They couldn't. So they instead of just, playing a show, they let everybody see it. But the thing is especially with everyone kind of being in that shelter in place or almost in lockdown mode or in quarantine mode, everyone's kind of looking for something, I'm going to say new or something different or something that's, because everyone can go online and watch Netflix, watch Hulu, watch all the same shows they're watching over and over again, watch all these sports reruns over and over and over again. But when you're looking for something new, I mean, that's definitely an area where you can play in and expand the reach of Sad Kwon Do throughout, not only Central California, but throughout all of California, throughout all the United States, and potentially get a couple of people to start watching from around the world as well. Yeah,
I think, that's definitely a optimistic way to look at it that I suppose I really haven't yet. I'm thankful that we're, not at the point yet where the band is our, main source of income. Because for people who are in that unfortunate position, it's like, well, what do you do? Like sell shirts, I guess, like merch and stuff. Encourage people to stream and everything. But let's be real here. Most bands make most of their money from touring and can't really do that anymore. So scary times for everybody involved.
Yeah, for everybody involved and just everybody in general as well. But another thing that I was thinking about just kind of popped my head, especially with the fact that I know you spoke about a new LP that you're pretty much almost already set and ready to go with and, kind of get new music out there and release. You can maybe work off something like that as well. Or when it comes to doing the final tracking for the drumming or final trackings for anything else, just put up, it's a little bit of content on any kind of social media page there just to give some freshness to it, just to give some intrigue to the fans. All of a sudden it's like, okay, what's going on here? What's going on here? And then you're hearing something that's new. And people are going to potentially be, all of a sudden someone that's sitting in their house that can't really go anywhere stumbles upon it. And then all of a sudden they're trying to look, all of a sudden, okay, when's the next thing coming out? When's the next thing coming out? Especially if they resonate well with that sound.
I think actually we don't have a date picked or anything, but I'd imagine the next month or so, maybe two, we'll actually be putting out a single from that LP titled Cold. It's just kind of, that one's like already pretty much ready to go. We just need to mix it and master it. So I think we'll be doing something like that to definitely kind of, I guess, fill in the gaps.
Yeah, and you can even create some like a little Instagram content or even like Facebook or whatever other social media that you're on. You can create content for that to kind of just build intrigue for that song, whether it's just within, you know, the followers that you have right now, or trying to even grow it further, maybe put a little bit of money behind it just for advertising. Because again, with everyone kind of sitting at home right now, not doing much, that's where the attention's going to be of all the music fans. It's going to be online because that's where they get all their music right now. It's everyone's streaming everything. So, and trying to go online as well, just to kind of like go through social media, see what all these bands are up to, try whatever they're trying right now. And you could definitely, you know, take advantage of that. And that's something I've been trying to talk with a lot of bands as well that we've been interviewing, just because it's an opportunity that is coming out of a horrible situation, but but you always got to be creative. You always got to be ready for anything. And it's an opportunity to really go forward and even grow your brand and grow your band in a time like this.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So outside of that, once we basically get through this whole entire coronavirus thing and kick this virus's ass, which I keep saying just because trying to stay optimistic is all hell, does Sad Kwon Do have a plan following, you know, once life gets back to what we hope is normal?
Well, kind of play more shows, really. Hopefully, we linked up with this band called Cough It Up. They're from Stockton, which is just south of Sacramento. And they invited us to play at a house show with them there. Unfortunately, that specific show got canceled, but I'd really like to kind of branch out to other cities, maybe like do like a weekend mini tour or something like that, just to kind of get the name out there in new areas that really haven't heard us before. I think that would definitely be a play. Were you going to say something?
I lost my train of thought.
I'll say, because one thing I've been kind of pushing towards an idea towards a couple of other bands as well, I'm going to push it on you guys as well just to see what you think, is you're seeing all these tours and all these, I mean, it could be bands that are just absolutely huge or bands that are not nearly as big as some of the biggest bands in the world that have been on these tours, whether it's, you know, more regional tours or even, you know, national tours where they're going all across the United States. And with the fact that they had their shows either postponed or canceled, I'm specifically take a look at the ones that were postponed and have to be rescheduled for another date. I've been looking at it, and it's those headlining bands are definitely going to be the ones that, you know, that's going to reschedule around them, because they're the ones that are, you know, on the headlines, on the posters. They're the ones that people are really coming to go and see. However, they all have openers in front of them. And what's to say that all of a sudden, you know, one of those openers says, oh, we have a prior obligation already for that time frame, so we can't perform during, you know, the tour that we just got postponed and rescheduled. So they're going to have to fill those spots somewhere. So
Sure.
What I've been trying to kind of push is, and talk to some of these bands as well, is what is there, you know, maybe an idea to try and take your sound and send it out to some of these bands that have these postponed tours, try and get connected with them. So all of a sudden, if something like this happens, your band's name is on the forefront of their minds of, hey, let's go take this band on tour with us and let's see how that goes. Let's see if we can, you know, if that sound resonates well, and just basically help build up a fan base for this instance, specifically Sad Kwon Do.
I think that would honestly be a great idea. Just because, I mean, as you described, it's just going to be this big shuffle of bands trying to figure out when to play and who can open and everything like that. So it definitely would be a good way to get the name out there and actually like get on some of those tickets. What's the word for the thing where the band?
The word for the thing
with the bands. No, but some of those
It's like be on the lineup or something.
Yeah, we'll go with the lineup. That works.
Okay. Yeah, because that's one thing I mean, when this whole entire thing first started happening, that was initially where my mind went as well, because I just thought there's going to be a chance for somebody here to just really take advantage of something like this. And I kind of wanted to push it out there to as many bands that have the chance to talk to as possible, because I would love to see any band that I talk to, whether it's Sad Kwon Do, whether it's the band, a band called Bonesy, whether it's a band called Stain the Canvas, it doesn't matter because I love all of their sounds. I love all of these bands. So I want to see them be as successful as possible. And if I have an idea of something that might be able to work, why not, share it and see if a band can really take advantage of that idea and see if all of a sudden, like, trying to think of a good one, like for the Sad Summer Festival, all of a sudden they're looking for, like a opener that maybe isn't as well known as anybody else. And all of a sudden it's, someone dropped out. They're looking for someone new to fill the spot. And all of a sudden, hey, there's this band called Sad Kwon Do. Let's put them on there. And all of a sudden you're playing shows with bands like Yours Truly and All Time Low.
Yeah, no, that'd be crazy. I mean, not to be weird or anything, but I mean, hey, Sad Summerfest, like if y'all need some openers, we kind of fit the sound. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's also a thing of trying to find a way to play the game as well, so that you're putting your music out there and that you're getting your sound and getting your names in the hands of the people that can really make this happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of like playing a little bit of like the economic hustle game right there.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Maybe it's time to look into definitely recording more. I think that would be the play for now.
Well, what we also talked about was shooting a music video, which is something we could still do.
Yeah, actually, that
because we have a couple of friends that are into videography, and like I said, I have a friend named Nick that I'm trying to start a band with. He's getting into videography, so we kind of have like our options.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great way to promote, actually.
Well, I mean, that's also a fantastic idea, too, especially, again, in a time where a lot of people are going to be on the internet looking at their phones and trying to find something new to watch or something new to really latch onto. And if you give them a music video, I mean, that's 3-4 minutes right there where they're going to be looking at something new and just can really get enthralled in it and lost in that music video.
Oh, yeah. We had plans for this summer. We're actually planning on recording something with my friend Izzy, who is actually going to school to be a cinematographer, I think. And she's like really talented, so I'm really excited to like be able to work with her again. But I think something definitely even like lower production value, lower budget, just real quick kind of production would be a good fit for this current, I guess crisis would be the right word.
Well, not only that, but there are times where those lower production music videos can sometimes really just be an absolute hit. And an example is the White Limo video by the Foo Fighters. I mean, I think they shot that for like $100-$200 just because they were having fun with it. And it's just so much fun to watch, just how it's kind of like a parody in itself. But the fact of the matter is they struck basically the right notes on that one and trying to figure out exactly what to do, how to do it, and just trying to make it so that people really want to enjoy it and watch it. And I mean, it's possible. I'm not saying it's not gonna. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. What I'm saying is there's definitely a potential there to really make that pop, even for a lot less money than other bands are putting into these music videos that might look pristine, but they might not hit well with the audience that they're trying to hit.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think most of the most important thing in a music video is just the straight up concept of it. I would say, like production, everything definitely is an important value of it, or an important part of the equation. But if you have a really good idea and you have somebody who's talented but might not have all the right equipment and everything, who cares? Do it anyway, man. Like lo-fi is kind of cool now,
Yeah, because one quote that I always kind of look at was like when it comes to like putting out content, it's like quality is always subjective, but quantity isn't. And especially in a time like this where I'm not saying put out a bad product. What I'm saying is put out a product that you're proud of. But in a time like this, it might be beneficial to make sure you put out something.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because, again, like I said, you never know who's sitting at home right now trying to find something new, and all of a sudden they stumble across it, listen to it, watch this music video, and they might be hooked, and you never know who they know or who they even are. So they might, really have just influence over a lot of things in the music industry that can really end up helping you take you guys places.
Yeah, it's definitely a big game of marketing yourself and kind of trying to oh God, what's the apparently English is out the window for me
And
tonight.
like advertise.
Yeah,
Advertise, promote your brand.
networking, that's what I'm looking
No,
for.
okay.
Yeah, like, I mean, most of being a musician, I found is knowing how to network and just kind of talking to the right people at the right times who like can get you a show or get you a music video or a radio interview or whatever. Like, but I think the hardest part for us, kind of our growth, was getting that first like meaningful show. But once we finally got that first like meaningful show, the rest just kind of came because people that were there, who were in other bands or booking or shows or whatever, and it's like, hey, that band we played with that one time, Sad Kwon Do, yeah, they kind of fit the sound for this show. Let's invite them. It just kind of snowballs from there, I suppose.
Yeah, it leaves such an open opportunity that you can really take advantage of. So that I mean, it seems like I'm kind of like pushing something here, but it's just I have an idea of how a lot of bands can really, especially at the time right now, increase their presence and increase their influence, especially in an online setting, because heck, again, everyone's there. So I'm kind of like I'm kind of just trying to plant ideas where it's, again, I'm not going to have all the answers because I'm not in a band. I can see this stuff from the outside, but I can't really act on it. I can only act on things that I can act on, especially when it comes to trying to talk to a lot of other artists and kind of, even get them on podcasts as well to just basically expose other people to their music. And we did that earlier with Sad Kwon Do with the Small Band Saturday feature, and now we're adding on to it even more with this podcast. So it's kind of like, maybe there's a start right here. Just keep pushing the ball down the hill, and again, the snowball effect to all of a sudden, by the time the whole entire coronavirus thing is over and all of a sudden bands are able to play live shows again, you're going from this little snowball, all of a sudden, you're rolling down the hill and you're starting to take out people left and right just because you're rolling so fast and there's so much of that's just knocking people over left and right.
Oh yeah. I don't know, kind of, I guess, changing topics a bit, well, not really, but going back to the snowballing, we, at first we didn't really have like many fans, just to put it lightly. But now, like, as we've, gotten like more popular, it's really cool seeing like people we don't even know, like at all, like posting about our music or doing cool things. Like this one lady started like painting our album cover on the back of her guitar.
I remember seeing that. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, no, that was just like a week ago, and I was like, whoa, that's amazing. That's really cool. And when we responded to it, she was like freaking out, like, oh wow, this band I like is like actually like talking to me. And I was like, whoa, I've always been on the other end of that. I've always been the one freaking out. It's really interesting kind of seeing it the other way around,
So I can easily kind of see that too, because it's, when it comes to talking to people about some stuff too, it's like I do a lot of comment. Like every time I get a comment, I'm always going to try and respond to it as well, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I always want to respond to it, just connect with everybody, because I'm happy they just kind of took the chance to talk to me. That's basically it. And one thing I've kind of learned from that has been, when you have fans, it's imperative that if they're gonna to connect with them, and especially at a time like this when you have someone who's gonna paint your album cover on the back of their guitar, which I really do want to see this, because looking at that album cover, I'm very curious to see how this person painted that on there. But then to connect with them and say, you thought it was awesome and I absolutely love seeing it, and then they have this kind of freak out when we're like, oh my God, Sad Kwon Do is talking to me. It just has to really lift up your spirits and give you this energy boost to just keep going and just keep doing what you're doing, because you're connecting with people. That's pretty much the key, is you're connecting with people.
Yeah, no, exactly that. It's just kind of, I'm very thankful of my friends who kind of like help push us to get to this point in the first place.
Oh, big time.
Izzy was a huge help to us. We hired her to take the photography for the album cover, and just kind of just some other press photos and things like that. So it's just really cool. I'm thankful I kind of knew the people I did know going into this, and that only goes further now as we're meeting new people in the industry who can like, help us out in specific ways. Just everybody's super kind, and that's not something I think I was really expecting. Especially, I'm transgender. I'm transitioning to male to female, and a big part of that is like kind of other people like accepting me for like who I am. And honestly, the music scene has been incredible around here for that. Everybody's like super chill and just super like cool and relaxed. And I don't know, I really appreciate that. And I don't know, that's not really something you see a lot, especially where we're from. It's a relatively closed-minded area in terms of that sort of thing.
Well, kind of jumping on that a little bit, it's just when it comes to music, music is always an expression of yourself. So when people are writing music, they're always pouring their hearts and soul into it. So there's going to be a connection there where everyone inside the music scene is going to really look at you as you and not look at you just, what you look like on the outside. Everyone's going to really look at you as what your character is like, who you are as a person, what your actions are doing, instead of just okay, quick glance, that's all we get.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, honestly. And that's exactly how everybody's been, and I'm incredibly thankful for that.
Well, because just kind of, and even to add on that as well, I mean, there have been other examples of other people in the music scene that have transitioned from male to female and have done it and have made incredible music off of it or through their experiences. And I mean, Laura Jane Grace from Against Me is probably the one that just pops into my head right away when I think of that.
Yeah. Kind of looking in the future, but I think it'd be really cool. I'm planning on starting hormone therapy here in a few months. I was kind of waiting to finish the album before I started doing that. So I think it'll be really cool. Like, having a higher voice for like the next time around, and it'll be like, whoa, who's that? Did it get a new person? Nope, it's me. Tricked ya.
It'll be definitely interesting to see. And then even when we started this at the beginning of this conversation, where we talked about just kind of the different styles and different sounds that Sad Kwon Do is able to have, I mean, that just adds on to it, because you're going to be able to create that kind of, again, that emo pop punk sound, but you're really be able to also create different sounds as well off it, but then add just a higher range of vocal to it. There's definitely going to be something in there that's really going to be able to stand out, that all of a sudden people are going to really hear a progression from the first EP to the first album to the second album. You're going to see that progression happen.
Yeah, I think it'll just be a cool contrast, if nothing else.
It will be, and there's a good amount of times where that contrast really stands out in like superbly, and that's not only going from like album to album, but like sometimes on albums where you listen to certain songs, and within those songs, all of a sudden there's just a total contrast within them, and how that contrast ends up playing off it. And that's something that when I'm doing my album reviews, if I hear something about that where a band's trying to pull off somewhere, it's like, oh, you're going to hear something like these male unclean vocals, and all of a sudden they're having more of a female clean vocalist kind of layered on top of it, just to see how they play off. And I know the recent Code Orange album, they had a couple of songs like that where they had these unclean male vocals, but they were much more in the background, and it just helped make that higher pitched vocal from a female just pop. It was amazing. Yeah,
you can do really cool things. Like, I don't know, human mind's like kind of fun to figure out how to mess with in specific ways like that. Because I'm sure, like, that Code Orange album, I'm sure each track on its own would have been just fine, but like together they just synergize really well, and kind of, I don't know, just make it not only more interesting to listen to, but just more fun, if nothing else.
It's more fun to listen to, and also there's just much more depth in there that you can really take and sink your teeth into. And I mean, it gives a much broader chance for people to really connect with that song, no matter what they're going through, no matter what kind of style they like to work with.
Yeah, my mom and I like talked about this a bit like a while ago, but like whenever you listen to music, like let's say you listen to a song like either on just, God forbid, your phone speakers or just like on a speaker, the first time you listen to it with like a good set of headphones, you just start to notice like, oh, that's happening. I never noticed like that specific aspect of a song, like some background vocals like way off in the left channel or something like that. I don't know. It's fun discovering little things like that. And I think a good contrast helps with that.
Oh, very much so. And like one song that kind of did that for me when it came to like listening to it for the first time, because I listened to it through, phone speaker. I didn't really hear was it's actually one of my favorite songs, Attack by 30 Seconds to Mars, because the intro, the way the guitar is, like, I absolutely love the intro. But then all of a sudden you get into the first verse, and if you listen on a phone speaker, it's really hard to tell that intro guitar, it just sticks with that pattern. And it just keeps going, and you really don't hear that through through a little speaker on your phone. But you put on a good pair of headphones, it just it stands out more, so you notice it, and it just really, you can tell how it just drives the song from the first verse right into the chorus.
Yeah, I think as I've grown, both as I've grown as a musician, but also just actually spent more time listening to like the minor details and songs like that. There's this band I listen to called Golgomorrah. They're like as Midwest emo as you could get. And for the longest time, I thought they were a three-piece. But no, there's actually two guitarists, and they're playing either the same exact tap riffs and like crazy like hard riffs. They don't really play chords. They just play like single notes and riffs and like taps and all that kind of stuff. And they layered it so well. It was really easy to pay attention to the rhythm of it. But then also when you put on like a good pair of headphones and listen to it, you could actually pay attention to the lead at the same time and like notice the minor differences between the two guitars. And it was like a completely new sonic experience.
Oh yeah, and Isaiah, have you ever gone through a song like that where you listen to it at one point, but then all of a sudden you really listen to it a little bit more in depth and maybe with a professional pair of headphones on, and it just noticed so many different things about it?
Yeah, actually, I was just thinking about it while you were talking to Isaiah about that. One of the main songs that I really noticed that with was, do you know Avenged Sevenfold?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But it's their song Almost Easy. Like in the bridge part, there's that little piano in the back that I never would have heard off of a phone.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like I heard it on headphones. I heard it in my truck. I heard it in my friend's car. My friend has really nice like speakers and like subs, and I didn't even notice that there was like sub bass in it. When it hits the chorus, there's just like it's really loud, but it sounds really good.
Kind of Avenged Sevenfold was an interesting part of my childhood because I don't know, it was weird. Like I listened to, when I was like a little kid, I listened to a little bit of like what my parents played, which is mostly like 80s rock and stuff like that. But my brother was hella into like Rage Against the Machine and oh god, I forget, Avenged Sevenfold and low key like metal. Just metal in general. I never really listened to that. So it was kind of cool like hearing his music. My mom actually banned Avenged Sevenfold from our house for a few years after hearing A Little Piece of Heaven.
Oh no.
She's like, nope, you're not listening to that.
Yeah, that's how it was in my house too. My dad heard A Little Piece of Heaven once and told me never to play that shit again.
Yeah, I don't blame her. I couldn't have been older than like 10. So yeah, no, I really shouldn't have been listening to that.
Was when you were 10.
See, I kind of got lucky with that because when I really started getting into like the real heavier style, it was, of course, around the time with like, I was listening to like 3 Days Grace because playing video games, like they were always on some sort of video game track I was playing, whether it was like a NASCAR Thunder video game or like SmackDown versus Raw WWE, because they had like 3 or 4 songs off of 1X on one of the versions, and it was just all I wanted to llisten to. All of a sudden, here comes Guitar Hero and just changes it up, and all of a sudden I'm playing, just constantly trying to get stricken by Disturbed down because I just couldn't get enough of that song, and thought at a point like my parents were gonna be like, yo, maybe you should not listen to this. Nah, they just kind of let it happen. I started listening to Disturbed, and then took the Indestructible CD to school one day, and I went to a Catholic school, so
oh yeah,
that didn't go so well.
That is funny.
I used to play so much Guitar Hero like at my friend's house. When I'd leave his house, the world, like my perception of the world would be like spinning. Like I'd be staring at the screen for so long, I'd like seeing the notes like scroll towards me. I'd leave and like the rest of the world would just be like this. Going like this.
Yeah, that always happened to me too.
Oh my god, it was scary.
Oh my god, I gotta play Guitar Hero now. Well, especially like, I mean, perfect time to kind of just sit in front of a TV for like 6 hours, play Guitar Hero, and all of a sudden, okay, I got to run to the store to, maybe get some like milk or something. All of a sudden, just drive on the road and just start seeing like the road come at you. All of a sudden, just drive, and all of a sudden, my fingers are starting to like move around, like trying to hit the notes, and all of a sudden, see my right thumb just like strumming as fast as possible.
Yeah,
And,
man.
like, I'm supposed to be driving. What the hell?
It's like,
I'm just really thankful that like Clone Hero exists. Do you know what that is?
I am unaware of this.
It's a program for your computer that just lets people make like custom songs for Guitar Hero, essentially. So people have made like, songs that wouldn't normally be featured in Guitar Hero from like unpopular genres. You can play them, and they're all pretty well done too. It's really interesting. Just playing your music on Guitar Hero, essentially, like what you listen to. That's cool.
I actually had a friend that offered to do that for us.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell, dude? Hit him up.
Yeah, because there's still people that are playing Guitar Hero out there.
Oh yeah, it's got really popular on YouTube in the last like year or two again. I used to watch this guy named Asai, and
I still watch him.
Yeah. He just does like, he's really, really good at it, and it's crazy like seeing him like play like Through the Fire and Flames like blindfolded, or just really crazy hard songs. It's like, wow, you're really good at this. And then I go and play, and it's like, oh god, I can't play Guitar Hero for shit, but I can play real guitar.
Yeah, that was always kind of the thing too. Because I remember when I was learning to play drums, because that was really within the mix of like Guitar Hero 2, Guitar Hero 3's release, and the guy that was teaching me drums, he's like, "Yeah, keep hearing everyone kind of like every one that's teaching people how to play guitar. Kids coming, it's like, oh yeah, I know how to play. I can play Guitar Hero. It's just nope. All of a sudden, Rock Band comes out, and he's trying to teach kids how to play the drums, and people that are drumming on like Rock Band are able to play the drums because it's so much more similar to actually what you're doing.
Yeah, no, Rock Band drums was actually really cool because, I mean, all things considered, it was simplified, but you were actually drumming. Like, you had a kick, you had different things to hit, you had tempos to connect to. It was really cool. Guitar Hero Live, actually, their drum kit had like fake cymbals and everything on it too.
It did.
So it actually resembled like a real drum kit instead of just like the 4 big pads in front of you.
Yeah, because you had three just like normal like drum pads, and you had the two cymbals up top, but then you had the bass pedal down below.
I mean, that's the closest you get to a real drum kit, like in a toy.
I was gonna say, even then, like there's people out there that are connecting like their I don't know how they do it, but they're connecting like their electric drum kits to play with Guitar Hero. I watched one video on that. I forgot what the guy was called, but he was playing in a Mice and Men song on Guitar Hero, and it was like he had double pedals, he had the cymbals, he had a hi-hat. It was really cool. I don't know how he did it, but it was really cool to see.
Yeah, no, like especially I don't know if Clone Hero. I don't think Clone Hero has support for drums, unfortunately, but that'd be cool to see in the future because it already has the framework there for like custom songs and everything.
I'm gonna have to go check that out because there's always been plenty of songs that I've always wanted to play on Guitar Hero just to say I've played them, and there's still just I've played a good amount of the versions, but there's still one version one like of the actual Guitar Hero games I never played, and I'm always mad I never played it because it has my favorite song of all time on there, and I've never played it yet, and it just kills me because I just want to play it once. I don't care about playing any other song. I just want to play this one once and call it a day and be like, I'm good.
I mean, hey, download Clone Hero. It's free. All you got to do is plug in a controller to your. You can use a keyboard if you really wanted to, but I feel like that's kind of like. It's not the same.
So it's like using a controller for Guitar Hero. It works, but it's not the same.
It's not fun.
Yeah, I'd have to run back to my parents' house and find my old Guitar Hero 3 controller, and then find a way to connect the old PS2 port to my computer. I don't know how I do it, but there's got to be something.
I got a PlayStation 2 to USB adapter because of Guitar Hero getting popular again. They don't make the guitars anymore. So like. They're kind of getting more expensive on like eBay or whatever, buying used ones. The cheapest one I could find was a PS2 one. It was like $20 cheaper than any other one I could find. So I bought that and an adapter, and I just use it, and it works just fine. It's crazy.
I might have to get the adapter because then I'll have my Guitar Hero controller. Then I'll have the adapter to USB, but then I have to have an adapter to go from USB to USB-C and plug it into my computer.
Oh my god, no! I mean, it would work.
It would work, but it would be a mess.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I really am gonna have to try that now, just because I mean I want to play as many like Rise Against songs as I possibly can and just go all punk rock with it. Just
May as well.
And then also play some 30 Seconds to Mars as well, but like Beautiful Lie kind of era, just because that's always a fun time.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say that reminds me. Did you ever play Rocksmith?
No, I did not.
I actually never played Rocksmith either.
Rocksmith, so it's the same concept as Guitar Hero, but you're using an actual guitar, and you're like actually learning the songs.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I had it for Xbox 360. I think it's called Guitar or like Rocksmith 2014 or something like that. But like Rise Against is on it, 30 Seconds to Mars, Avenged Sevenfold, like awesome bands, and like it starts you off easy with like the simple single notes. And as you get better, it starts adding more notes, and then you're playing the actual chords, and then you're doing the solos. It's a really cool way to learn guitar. They even have videos of people doing it for like I think every day for a month, and like they're like becoming really good.
That's crazy. I never played Rocksmith. I just learned by like looking at tabs and things like that. So I think that'd be great to like an absolute beginner to like an intermediate player type of thing.
Yeah.
I'll say the perfect guinea pig for that would be me, mostly because I look at a guitar and I'm just like, how the hell am I supposed to play this thing? How does anyone play this thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I started learning like a bit more theory recently, and it just makes so much more sense. It's crazy. And I know very, very basic stuff. Like I'm not good at music theory at all, but even just with like a very basic understanding, it's like, whoa, this makes sense. Wow, that's new.
Yeah, it's because like I look at like just like look at a guitar, I'm like, how the hell does this work? But then I saw Alter Bridge back in February, just watching Mark Tremonti play. I'm just looking at him, just like, how is this even possible? Like this doesn't make any sense. How is someone making that sound come out of that by doing that? I just don't get it.
That's one of the things you think that's not you playing. You have someone in the back, huh? Someone else is making those noises with like a keyboard or something.
I don't know. I think guitar is really like interesting. It's an interesting like instrument, all things considered, because you can get such a wide variety of sounds from it. You know, like not even just like a clean or like a distortion sound, but like people like doing like I don't know pinch harmonics and weird things like that, where it's like it just sounds. It's so varied. You know, you could have like a blues song, and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever, that's blues. I get it. And then go into like the stuff you listen to mostly, like with the how like interesting techniques and tap notes and like pinch harmonics and everything it's completely different. I love that.
Dance Gavin Dance says that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, you listen to a lot of Dance Gavin Dance.
I do. I was mad. I was supposed to. I wanted to see him when they were here in Milwaukee, but then there was going to be another show the same night that I wanted to go see, so I had to pick between the two. I ended up going with the other one, but now both of them got postponed. So we'll see if I can go see Dance Gavin Dance. Otherwise, I was going to skip them to go see We Came as Romans.
They're good too, though. Yeah, but like after this whole coronavirus, I was supposed to go see him at Swanfest with my buddy Brandon because it was going to be his 21st birthday.
Okay.
So I was gonna take him to Swanfest. We were excited. We had a hotel booked already, had our tickets ready. And then they threw up the message saying it got postponed, and we were heartbroken, you know.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. We got invited to play like a local festival in Fresno, and I mean we haven't gotten word from it yet, but it was like towards the end of April, so it's pretty likely to get canceled, and that makes me sad.
Coronavirus is fucking everybody up. What the hell?
Oh, pretty much.
It's gotta stop, man.
They're supposed to say that it's supposed to go until June, or like lockdown until June or something like that.
I don't know. I mean, it's not. I trust the government. I'll do whatever they say, but it's annoying.
Same on the kind of the opposite end of you though, and I'm like, I really don't. But when it comes down to it, with something with knowing kind of how disease spreads, if it comes to, you know, being able to limit the exposure to not only for me just to not get it, but then also for me to not accidentally get it, maybe just, you know, be asymptomatic to it and then spread it to other people. It's like, yeah, try and keep my distance away from a lot of people as possible.
I don't care if I have it. I don't want to like give it to anybody else, especially someone who might be like immunocompromised or just elderly and can't really deal with it as well as I can. Because, you know, we're young. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't want to kill anybody on accidents.
Yeah, because I was thinking the same thing, because it's like with me having to go work at home for my full-time job, but it's me actually having to go work in my mom and dad's basement just because they got better internet. It's me, if I get it, I mean, like I'm 25, like it's not like if I get it, I'm probably going to end up just kicking its ass and just calling it a day. But my parents, I mean, even though they're both in great health, my mom's going to be 66 this year. My dad just turned 61. Like they're over that 60 mark where it's like, okay, and this is where it starts to get worse. I'm like, I don't want to accidentally give it to them. And all of a sudden then something bad happens. And I'm like, I just don't want that to happen.
Oh, same. Yeah. My girlfriend's stepmom is immunocompromised. She has some form of arthritis that she has to take medication for. So right now she's having to choose to continue taking her medication and like being able to walk, or stop taking her medication, have her immune system come back slowly, but then lose her ability to walk in like a year or two. So it's like, whoa, that's a tough decision to make.
Yeah, my friend's dad's kind of in the same boat. So my friend's dad is going through chemotherapy because he has cancer, but that kills his immune system. So if he gets it, he's pretty much done. So he's like locked himself in his house away from society. He has my friend pretty much go get groceries for him because he doesn't want to get the virus and spread it to his wife and, his daughters and stuff.
Yeah, I mean that makes total sense as well for your friend's dad, just to do that, not only for himself, because if your immune system's that compromised, I mean, you have to make sure you're taking the proper precautions to make sure you stay safe, but then also to make sure that if you somehow get it, you're not transmitting it to other people.
Another thing I'm scared of is just like the long-term like economic like consequences of this, because I just started a job with the post office here, probably like starting at the end of March. So I'm not really tripping. I think no matter what happens, like the post office isn't going to just shut down. But my girlfriend works in the service industry, and a lot of people I know work in the service industry, and it's that's the first thing that's getting shut down now. So it's like a lot of people I know are directly affected by this and out of jobs or like severely reduced hours. And it's just like, wow, what do you do now?
Yeah, I understand that as well, just because like with my full-time job, I work for a company that creates and makes software for health insurance agencies. So it's like, I mean, I'm pretty much in an incubated space for this right now. My mom works at a bank, and she's supposed to retire at the end of July anyway. So if something happens, for her, it's okay. My dad works for a company where they manufacture they manufacture products, but one of the products they manufacture is a piece that actually goes into the coronavirus testing. So it's like, oh, well, you're fine there. But my brother, bar manager at the University of Wisconsin, like right on their campus. So there is a they shut down. He's laid off, and it's just
you're just out of a job until this blows over.
That's why I want this to like get over as quickly as possible. Mostly not even for my sake, just like 'cause I want to go see live shows. And I want all these bands to get back on the road, but just so that my brother can get back to living life and making money and just like being able to do the things that he wants to do instead of just sitting around and waiting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to claim to know the answers or anything like that. Who am I to talk about that type of stuff? But I just hope that we're able to. I mean, the people that need it most are able to get that like extra financial help. Apparently, the Trump administration was thinking about just like giving just Americans money who were like affected by it. And, I don't know if that'll be the right answer, but I mean, I'll take free money.
Who knows if it's the right answer or not. It's something where, I mean, we could go on for hours and hours and hours on this, but it's something where everyone's going to have a different opinion on it. And at this point in time, I think, and for me specifically, it's all I care about is let's just get through this virus. Let's flatten the curve. Let's kick its ass. And then let's just kind of like get back to life, but also recognize what happened and figure out if something like this happens again, how can we put ourselves in a better situation to make sure this shit doesn't go as bad as it is and is going to be.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, just to be selfish about it. Like I want to play shows again, like that was for a bit, that's kind of the one thing I had going for me right now. And it's like, now that that's gone, it's like, I'm trying to find other things to do with my time, kind of, it's so, and I'm sure everybody's dealing with that in some way or another right now, especially with the shelter in place orders going on. It's just, wow.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I brought up that stuff like a little bit ago with kind of like, what's the plan next? Because again, with those ideas, it's something, for you guys to potentially chew on and even execute on, but also it's like, oh, we had live shows going for us, but now we don't. What's the next thing? What can we do now? Boom, there's an idea.
Yeah. Hopefully we can, I don't want to capitalize on a disaster, but hopefully we can, just continue our growth the same way it would have regardless.
Yeah.
That would be the ideal situation.
It's not, I would say it's not capitalizing on a bad situation. It's making the most out of the situation you currently find yourself in.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
Yeah, that's how we'll put it. Making the most out of the situation you currently find yourself in.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Isla Isaiah, we've gone for about an hour and a half on this, and we've talked, about literally anything and everything from Sad Kwon Do to the situation that we find ourselves in right now with the whole entire coronavirus thing, and just almost everything in between at this point.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's definitely been a fun time.
I want to say thanks for being on the podcast, and thanks for understanding from our having to reschedule last week, because my God, I'm sorry. I would have never been able to sit through this without wanting to just fall over and shut my eyes. That food poisoning took me out so hard.
No, you're fine, bro. I get it.
That's really understandable. I'm really bad with food poisoning too, to be honest with you.
Never had it, to be honest.
You're lucky.
Oh yeah, you're lucky, Isla. You're definitely lucky. But yeah, again, thank you both for understanding on that one, and thank you for being on the podcast as well. Every time I always say, this was fun, this was fantastic. But the only reason I say it is because I absolutely mean it. I love doing these, and I love being able to talk to every single band I get to talk to. This was another fun, fantastic podcast I got to do. So thank you for being on.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for having us. We had a lot of fun too.
And when your new album is set and ready to go drop, and you drop that first single, let me know, and we can try and push it out and promote it a little bit for you guys as well.
Sure, yeah, that'd be awesome. I'll let you know when it happens. Perfect.
Alrighty. Well, as for that, we will send you on your merry way to maybe make more music, relax. Who knows? We'll see what happens from you. We'll see what happens from Sad Kwon Do. We'll be checking in on your Instagram page and all your other social media just to see what's Sad Kwon Do doing. Hopefully something awesome.
Yeah, just throw a little shameless self promotion there. If you like what you if you think the whole emo genre is cool, all of our music's on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you can find it online, pretty much. And if you want to keep updated with us, Sad Kwon Do on Instagram is our tag. It's just Sad Kwon Do with underscores between each word. Yeah, that's all the.
I was going to say, you could call it a shameless plug. At the beginning of every episode, I say time for the shameless plugs, because that's if there's advertising, that's where I put it, in the shameless plug section. But so for everyone listening, to try and find Sad Kwon Do anywhere on the internet from all their social media, and to try and find where you can stream their music, just take a look in the description of this podcast episode, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or watching the video on YouTube. It's all going to be there, just clickable links for everybody, just so that they can click it, quickly access it, and enjoy Sad Kwon Do music.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for having us, man.
Alrighty, thank you for being on, and I can't wait to see what Sad Kwon Do does, even during this whole entire coronavirus thing, but once we get past it, and just how everything turns out, and what the trajectory looks like, afterwards, 2020, 2021. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, for sure. Nice talking with you.
All right, nice talking with you both as well. Isaiah, see you later.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that sit down with Isla and Isaiah of the band Sad Kwon Do. Again, like I said right at the end of the interview with them, if you want to find their stuff, just look in the description of this podcast episode, whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, whether you're on Google Play, or you're watching on YouTube, because it will all be there, whether it's any of their social stuff, their website, where you can find merch, anything where you can listen to music, whatever it might be. Go check them out, especially if you love that emo pop punk sound. They definitely have it, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens as, this coronavirus thing happens. If they produce that music video, what's going to happen with that new LP that they're coming out with at some point in 2020, and to see what happens when they come out with that second LP, just to see the transition and see how this band grows. I can't wait to see it. I know I gave them a lot of ideas of what they could do, in the midst of the coronavirus, post-coronavirus. I'm hoping for the best for them because I absolutely love their sound. They're probably at least one of my top 5 small band Saturday bands that we've had on, because I have featured a couple others that I have enjoyed just as much as them. And I know I always say, at the end of these interviews, these are fun, these are fantastic, I love them. Trust me, guys, I am not lying when I say that. I mean, I'm always jazzed up after these. I'm always full of energy, happy to do these, and I can't wait to bring you guys even more because we have even more bands lined up down the pipeline, so get ready for that. But until then, signing off right now. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by My Song a Day Rock 2000 Day. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end all of these podcasts with a big, healthy, and hearty well, first, stay safe and make sure you stay healthy throughout this whole entire coronavirus thing. Let's kick this virus's ass. And now, see